I could cut these corner sections out, but I'm going to see if I can hide it by just moving the verts. So we can get away with using the same texture for the bottom part of the plaster, but we've got a problem here with this texture because we can see the top of that decorative piece that's in the middle. Just before we tackle that though, let's fix the verts on this one. Again, we're going to remove this texture, so if we mess the scaling of the texture up here, it doesn't matter because we're going to completely remove it in Photoshop anyway. So long as we don't get too much distortion happening here. Okay, let's fix this texture up. So I'm just going to jump into Photoshop. I don't know what's happening with Twitch's transcoding. As an affiliate, we're supposed to be getting transcoding, like it's supposed to be available, but I've noticed on my streams the last few weeks that you can only watch it in source or auto. So I don't know what's going on there. What Twitch is, what's causing that? I'm not the only one. A few guys have mentioned that they're having problems as well. I'm just going to find that texture. Just want to find the position, where it is on my hard drive. Art Deco building, Deco model, panel center. Okay. UE4 projects, models, Art Deco building, Deco model. This one. We just need to get rid of the part of the texture at the top here, so I'm going to probably grab it from the bottom. Let's spray that. We got a bit of a color difference. I can grab it from the top. I just want to try and avoid any repetition starting to pop up, which you can get sometimes when you start doing this sort of copy paste. We use the eraser brush, we can try and blend these two together a bit better. We don't really worry about the bottom. Again, it's only the top that we're worried about, but just to be on the safe side, I'm going to duplicate that layer again. We'll pull it down a bit more. Now, this is what I mean by the repetition. I don't know if you can see it, but there's a slight pattern repeating here in the texture. more noticeable here with that ziggy-zaggy line. What we can do though is we can go into the stamp tool, use a largish brush, and we can pick part of the texture from, let's try here. I just hold down the Alt key and click. To do this properly, I've got to collapse my stack, so I'm going to do that. And now I can clone stamp out that repeating pattern. You want to try, you want to take it from up here. You don't want to take it from down here because the color is too different. It should be okay. I don't think you'll notice that on the wall. Just want to fix this bit up here a little bit better though. Alright. Let's crop our texture here. Or trim it. Hang on. Crop it. Again, I've got to make sure my texture size is a power of 2. It's not at the moment, so I'll go 1024 by 512. That's just for the game engine. You need to stay in a power of 2. Any power of 2. And it squishes it here, but it'll be okay when we reassign it. So I'm going to save it as, I'll call it panel center, and I'll call it SM for small. Okay, let's jump back into Max. Open up our material editor. Load up that texture we just saved. Make sure we have our assets selected, and we'll assign the new material to it. No, it's messed up our UVs. It hasn't messed the UVs up. The texture size is different from the original. If I had saved out the texture without cropping it, we wouldn't need to do that, but then we're using more texture than we actually need. So we're going to UVW map it again. And that gets our texture back to the right size and gets rid of that bit at the bottom we didn't want. Okay, so our frames are done, our plaster inner section is done. We've only got to worry about the actual plaster in the background now. So what I'm going to do is we'll call this plaster win lower for window lower. And we'll call this one plaster win higher for window higher. Let's export them as an FBX. At this stage I'm only exporting the plaster on its own. You'll see why in a minute. I'm going to take it into Substance Painter to apply the plaster work. Oh, the plaster texture anyway. I'm going to create a new folder called Window Plaster. We'll save the upper plaster piece. And we'll save the lower plaster piece. Let's take it into Substance Painter. And go with the larger one. Now I've got to remember if I created a smart material for that plaster or not. And I did, so I'm going to load up that smart material. Alright, no, I don't want that look, so I'm going to scale that up a bit. Right. I'm going to offset it as well. Looks like it needs to be scaled down just a bit more. And that should probably work for what we want, so let's save that. Call this window plaster upper. Again, I want to make sure my material name is something I'm going to be able to recognize. Default material is not great. We'll call it plaster win upper. And let's export our textures. Window plaster. Again, I'm going to make a subfolder for this. It'll make it easier for me to find my textures. We're going to call this one upper. A 2K texture for something that size is a bit extreme. I'm going to go drop that back to 1K. If we find it's too low, we can always jump back into Substance and re-export it again. Just check our textures here. And they all look good. Save that project. And let's create the new project for the lower part. And again, let's load up our smart material. Again, we're going to have to just adjust our scaling a little bit. That should be okay. Again, we'll call this one win lower for our texture name. I haven't actually updated my version of Substance Painter yet. They've gone to 2.71, I think. I'm on 2.61, I think. I really have to do that at some stage. They haven't added a lot of new stuff to it though, so I'm not in a rush to update it. But hey, I should. It's free. Let's create a new folder called Lower. Select a folder. Again, I could probably drop this back to 512, but I'll keep it at 1024. Check our textures to make sure they look correct and they're okay. Save our project. And we'll call this one window Plaster. Lower. Alright, now back into Max. I'm going to assign the texture we just created for our plasterwork. So I'm going to need 2 standard materials. I'm only going to be pulling in the color information. I'm only doing this so when I do an export to bring it into Unreal, it loads up the correct texture for it. Window plaster. Let's start with the lower. I'll bring the color in. Show shaded and show realistic. And now the upper color texture. Well, let's assign the this one here is the upper one, isn't it? And the lower one. Alright, now we can attach our pieces together. I'm just going to collapse that box to an edit poly. We'll attach the frame and the plaster. And the frame and the plaster. Now we'll do a final export on this so we can bring it into Unreal. This is lower. We're going to call this one plaster window lower. And this one. And plaster window upper. Alright, now we can jump back into Unreal. Again, I'm just going to jump into unlit mode here quickly. Let's import those 2 plaster pieces we exported. Now, it looks like I didn't set my frame up down enough, so what I'm going to do is just quickly jumping into max. I really should have checked that before I did anything else. Easy enough to fix. Let's just isolate this though so we can see what we're doing. I'm going to select the lower piece and go into sub-object mode and just select a frame. Jump into my top viewport. In fact, I'll do them separate. I was going to say we'll do them both at the same time, but we can't because they're 2 separate objects. I'm just going to pull the frame in like that. Let's fix the one at the top now. That banging next door is really getting annoying. Hopefully it's not too distracting for you guys. We're nearly done for the day anyway, so I want to continue until we get these done. Just going to move that in. Okay, now it actually looks here like the plaster work needs to come back as well, so I'm going to select the plaster and move it back. And probably the same thing here. I just want to make sure that the plaster in this one is backing up as well. There we go. Okay, let's just re-export them one more time. Actually, what I should actually do here too is do a reset on the export. It's always a good idea. Collapse. And collapse again. And let's export them. Luster window upper, that's the one we want. And let's export the lower one again. Okay, now back into Unreal, finally. Let's re-import this model. There we go, it looks a bit better. It's facing the right way. Now let's just fix up our shaders first. So I'm going to open up the model. One is the frame. And we'll jump into our materials because we've already created these materials for the other plaster pieces. So let's drag that one in. And I need to find the frame. Panel border material, that's the one there. No, that's not the one there. I didn't actually bring it in. That's okay. It should have created a default material for us anyway, so it should be this one here. We've just got to bring in our normal maps and our metallic and roughness. Window lower, so let's import our textures. We've already got the color, so we need the metallic, the normal, and the roughness. Let's pull them in. Save. I'm just going to rename this texture so I know what it is and don't get confused. We're going to call it plaster win lower underscore matte. Just checking what this is. I think this is the border. Plaster panel border, yep. Okay. So all we should have to do now is open up our object and find that material we're using for the border. Which is this one here. Let me come back to that in a minute. Let's get the other plaster piece in first. So let's import the upper piece. Okay, it's this one here. Let's swap out, actually, now we changed the texture on this. So what I can do though is I didn't actually resave the normal map for it, so I'm going to have to do that. I'll leave this texture for the moment, but let's fix the plaster on the outer edge. And that is this one here. Plaster window upper. Let's import the textures we saved from Substance. So again, we want the metallic, the normal, and the roughness. And save that. Right, now we just need to swap out the correct material for the border. Again, I'm going to leave this for the moment, but I may have to come back in to retexture this because of the texture being broken here. It's not broken, it's just, it was textured up for a different part of the model. I was hoping we could reuse it. If we can't, it's no big deal for us to save out a texture from Substance because that's what it was created in. Let's save that. Alright, let's bring in those plaster pieces. So the upper piece, rotate that around 90 degrees. No, again, it's too small because we scaled our building up from when we exported it originally in Mac. So we're going to do the same thing for our plaster pieces here. And I'm looking at that texture, and I think we are going to have to retexture the border. And let's bring in the lower piece. And the same thing, I think, with the border of this one, we're probably going to have to just re-save a textured version from Substance Painter. And let's scale it up. Just exit that and jump back into lit mode. Alright. So there's a few things I need to do. I need to create a normal map for the plaster inner section of the top piece. The bottom piece is okay. And retexture the border here in Substance Painter for the top and the bottom. Probably what I could get away with doing is just doing the top and then using the same one for the bottom. I think that'd probably work. Let's just quickly have a look at that. No, I don't want that. I want this. I think I'll do the top, so I'm going to select the border. I'm going to detach it as a clone so I don't break the original mesh. We're just going to move that out of the way there. I'm going to... I'm just going to call this one panel border 2. Panel border 2. There we go. I will export that. I'm just going to create a new subfolder called border. Okay, now we'll jump into Substance Painter and save this project and create a new one. We'll load up the border. And again, I think I can use that smart material of the plaster. I'm just going to have to make some adjustments to the offset, I think. Maybe the scaling.
Got the light and it's shining through. They say you're beautiful and damn it's true. You know I wouldn't wanna lie to you, so trust me when I say, yeah, 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 yeah. I found love and I live for you.
That should work for what we want. Let's save our border. Export our texture. I'm going to save it as a 1K texture. It should be enough. I didn't change my material name. I really should have done that. Let's jump back into Unreal. Import those textures. So I want the color, metallic, normal, and roughness. Alright, I'm going to pull in those border textures we just exported. Then we have the colour, metallic, the normal and the roughness. And save that. Alright. We're going to call this one panel border 2 underscore map. Alright, now we've just got to find our plaster sections. This one here. And let's swap out the border so that we fix our border up and save that. And let's look for the other one, which is this one here. And again, let's swap out our border texture. Save our model. And that's fixed up our borders. Again, I have to do the normal map for that part of the plaster, but I think what we may do is leave it there for today, guys. We've got this entry section pretty much done as far as most of the plaster work and stuff goes. We still have curtains and things and furniture to put in. We will tackle looking at the rest of the building tomorrow. I want to thank you guys very much for hanging out with me and for watching. I will be back on again tomorrow at 5 p.m. Pacific in the US, 10 a.m. in Australia, 1 a.m. in the UK. If you're not sure, you can always follow me on Twitter at PhilDoes3D, because I post when I go live to my Twitter account. But I stream every Monday, Tuesday, usually Wednesday, but not at the moment. So Monday and Tuesday at 10 a.m., 5 p.m. in Pacific in the US. Thank you guys again very much for hanging out and for watching. I'll be back on again tomorrow. Hopefully I'll see you guys then. Have a good night, guys. Take care.